In today's Leeds news, Robin Koch permanent move, this week's loan watch, injury update, and Willie Gnonto contract. Hiya folks, welcome back to the news after a week break. Thanks to everyone for just putting up with the week off. Had some stuff to do at work, all sorted, good to go again now. So we'll crack on, we'll get into this, it'll be a short enough one just to get back into the rhythm of this, and we'll start off with news on Robin Koch's permanent exit from Leeds United. The German international is on loan at Frankfurt after a couple of difficult seasons at Leeds United. The centre-back has put in some excellent performances in recent weeks, which have now increased talks of a potential Germany recall for the player as well. On top of that, Frankfurt are said to be very keen on making his move to the German side permanent, with apparently personal terms and a deal already in place for the player should he want to sign it, and according to all reports, he does. Should also be said the Sport Bild are saying that Frankfurt are very keen to make this move permanent, but they want to buy the player from Leeds, which is where this starts to get a bit complicated. It shouldn't sound complicated, but it does. And the reports claim that Leeds want €15 million for the player, which is about £13 million, roughly, which equates to about 12.9 million what Leeds bought him for, trying to just recoup what they spent on the player. However, the interesting thing here is there's conflicting reports around the length of Robin Koch's contract. Some reports that I've read say that his contract is up at the end of this season, which means all Frankfurt have to do is wait until the 1st of February and then offer him a pre-contract, and he moves for free transfer to them at the end of the season. However, according to this, it says, according to the FIFA rules, say that they can't offer him a deal for 6 months, which would again suggest January. But they are saying, Sports Bild are saying that Robin Koch's contract at Leeds finishes at the end of next season, not the end of this season. And some other reports say that Robin Koch's contract at Leeds finishes this season, not next season. So Leeds could potentially get some money out of this, or he could just go for nothing. It depends on the reports and who you're reading and who you believe in. It's complicated. I actually don't know. So, there we go. Let's move on. Let's talk about the next story. And we'll go through this week's Loan Watch. Diego Llorente had a clean sheet and was part of a new Serie A record at Roma in a 7-0 win. Rasmus Christensen was not named in the squad and was completely dropped entirely from the squad for that game on the back of some recently poor performances. Marc Roca played 60 minutes in their heavy defeat to Barcelona in what was described as his first poor performance of the season, being withdrawn at 60 minutes at 3-0. Brendan Aronson came on the 73rd minute for Berlin, but couldn't prevent them getting defeated by Wolfsburg. Luis Sinisterra came on the 74th minute in a 0-0 draw with Chelsea. Jack Harrison has returned to team training at Everton, but was not in their squad last weekend. Max Fober has his 4th straight start for Gladbach. However, they have now conceded 12 goals in 4 matches. Robin Koch had to settle for a point against Bochum, but played in that game as well. Sam Greenwood was an unused substitute at the weekend, but did play last night for Middlesbrough. Cody Drama had his 2nd start at the weekend for Birmingham City, and Sonny Perkins had to wait until the 90th minute to get his first start for Oxford in their game against their win against Fleetwood Town. So a slow start for Sonny Perkins and Sam Greenwood, but them starting to get some minutes under their belt. On the back of yesterday's press conference, we got some updates on some injuries, and we all thought he was ready to go a couple of weeks ago before his injury again, and Junior Firpo's injury history at Leeds continues to rumble on. The player is now training alone again. Daniel Farke is hopeful of having him back in team training in the coming weeks, but a player who was expected to start last weekend before he got injured again. Another injury from left back that we are struggling to rely on at this point. Patrick Bamford, some good news. He looks like he could be back in contention to play after rejoining team training this week. Bamford could make the bench for tonight's game against Hull, but it's unlikely he'll play any part in that. It's probably close to the weekend before we'll see him on the bench, and then probably a couple of weeks before we see him get any minutes. Leeds are not going to rush Patrick Bamford back. They don't need to this time. So Ethan Ampadu has a slight knock but should be okay. Daniel Farke basically saying the player is Welsh, he's tough, he'll be fine. But a bit of a knock. And then the Jed Spence situation, we know he has knee ligament issues, but no surgery is required, which is great news, and he should be back within the next 7 weeks, which is a bit of a long one, but he should be back pretty soon. And then moving on to the final story of the day, and it's about Willie Gnonto. And this one, again, I think we'll see some more stories, but Willie Gnonto rumble into the January transfer window as well. And according to the Yorkshire Evening Post, Leeds are open to offering Willie Gnonto an extended contract and a new deal at Leeds United, despite the player refusing to play for Leeds United on 2 separate occasions this summer. Football Insider are also claiming that Leeds will offer him a long-term deal to stay at the club. They want him to stick around. They want to offer him better terms, which might persuade him to stick with the club longer than he may have intended. However, his contract situation currently runs until 2027, so there's plenty of time on this. There is some issues still around interest in the player. Everton are still interested in the player and said to maybe come back with the new ownership once that's sorted out, come back from the player in January. Reports from Napoli Calcio in Italy are suggesting that Fiorentina and Sassuolo are also keen on making a January move and are both lined up and are ready to make moves for the player in January. So you'd want to see if Leeds are going to offer Willie Gnonto a new contract, that gets signed and done soon. It would be interesting to see what kind of clauses are put in that contract, because obviously Daniel Farke and Leeds have said no more exit clauses from Leeds. So would Willie Gnonto sign a deal at Leeds that doesn't give him an exit? Will he insist on one? And will it get signed, done and dusted before we get to a situation where January kicks in and we have to look at the player and potentially moving out? And tonight's game, then again, there's some potential changes for tonight's match. Jamie Shackleton may come in at left back or right back, depending on situations. Luke Ayling, obviously playing every game this season, was very good at the weekend as well. But Daniel Farke has hinted at the potential of Jamie Shackleton coming back in because they have to manage Sam Byram's minutes. He has said before Sam Byram can't play 2-3 games in a week, so they have to be careful with that. Also, situations around potential rotation in the middle of the park as well. With Ethan Ampadu on a slight knock on his knee, he should be fine. We could see Glenn Kamara come in for his first start tonight as well. Ilya Gruev is there as well, but both players have only trained for a couple of days this week, so it could be a little bit just too soon to push both of them in, but we could see one or two come into that situation. Also, likely we could see some changes out wide. Dan James making a big impact in the game when he came on for Chris Somerville, who had struggled for me the weekend. Not Chris Somerville's best game in the Leeds shirt, just over carrying the ball, which he tends to do a little bit. But you've got a situation now where Dan James came in, made an impact, got 2 assists, questionable 2 assists, but 2 assists nonetheless. So it's going to be interesting to see what he does there as well. So, and obviously we've got Jayden Anthony, who looked pretty good when he came on, has to be said as well. So there's options there as well. So Leeds have a couple of options that they can play around with when it comes to the rotations for tonight's game, but likely to see 1 or 2 changes. But Daniel Farke said he won't be making wholesale changes in the side. So that's it for me today, folks. Thanks for watching the news. Thanks for sticking with me over the last week or so. And I'll be back tomorrow morning to normal rhythm with your Leeds news. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.